Hello, everyone. I am Matthew Thomas from Super Cool Radio, and I got two very special guests with me at this time. They are Ron and his son Zach from Michigan-based band Widetrack. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight.
Hey, what's happening?
Not too much, chatting music like I always do.
Oh yeah, right on.
So how you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Pretty good. We had a little, nice relaxing day. Drove around town, went for a little walk. A little stroll as per our routine.
Right on. Sounds very nice. And I want to start this interview with a little out there question. If you were stuck on an island and you can only listen to one band, but you can listen to a whole discography, who would you guys listen to?
All right, I've thought about this for quite some time. This is always the classic debate. Which Rush album, which Zeppelin album, which classic rock band. But if I had to pick only one, any band, anywhere, anytime, I would have to say Led Zeppelin, solely because though I may not, get everything that my rich musical diet may require, I feel as though Led Zeppelin's the perfect mesh of all the different things that I love about music, and one of those bands that I wouldn't eventually get, like brutally sick of, like some bands I feel like, okay, if I hear the song again, I'm going to lose it, but Zeppelin's just a nice middle ground.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I like what you said about all of that. I agree.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of like mix recording, like even my favorite bands, like there's songs I don't like by them, and so like I think like, well, who's whole disc? I might have to go with like either King Crimson or Black Sabbath. Just because I think with King Crimson, there's so much more I have yet to discover. There's a lot of things that I listen to that they challenge me, but then I'll go back and I'll be like, okay, I just wasn't ready for that yet, so I probably would go with King Crimson, but Paul McCartney would be up there too. It's tough to say, man. That's a hard question. Darn you.
Hey, I ask the hard questions on Super Cool Radio.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh.
For me, it would be Alter Bridge. I've been listening to them like all week, and yeah, there's just something about the whole dynamic of Alter Bridge. They were just phenomenal.
Oh,
awesome.
Man. Cool vibe.
Awesome.
Man.
Yeah.
So since there's no shows going on right now with the whole pandemic and COVID and everything, so how are you guys staying busy?
Well, it's funny because we just released our fourth album on his birthday in April. And we had planned on just like, okay, we have 4 albums now. We got plenty of material. Let's just go out and play like crazy and really just get that whole side of things. And then the pandemic hit, so it's like we've been doing some live streams, and that's a big thing right now. But it's hard to, you need that audience feedback.
Yeah.
So we've just started writing again, and we've got a couple new songs on the streaming platforms, and we're just going to kind of trickle out a couple songs at a time every few months until things get back to normal. We do have a show at the Crowfoot on Devil's Night in Pontiac, so that's we're getting ready for that, and we're excited about that. You had a band, Wisher, on your show, and we'll be playing with them. They asked us to do it with them, so Kaylee, appreciate that. And so yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing.
Yeah. It is nice to have a bit of time to slow down and, take the time to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb and all that. So, I guess, win some, you lose some,
Yeah, you brought up a lot of interesting points, Joe, about the live stream. I mean, it's kind of cool. You can at least see your bands, but it just doesn't replace being at a live show.
No, we used to say that like when, music kind of became a downloadable free quote unquote experience for a lot of people. People used to buy CDs, and now they're not. And we used to say, well, there's one thing you will never be able to replace, and that's the live experience. And man, that's never been more pronounced than these days.
Yeah, it was very true up until 2020 said, "Hey, watch this."
Hold my beer.
Yeah.
But also, yes, as you mentioned, you had a live show coming up on Devil's Night with Wisher and a bunch of other great bands. I know Wisher was talking about it, and it sounds like a really loaded show.
Oh yeah, we've always wanted to play the Crowfoot. We got our name from the band was born literally across the side street from Crowfoot, so that's where the name Widetrack came from. Is it was the surrounding, and it was just a way to mark the project and what the project was at the time, which was just me in my room writing songs, and it's just grown from there. So Pontiac is where I was born, and it's our roots. It's just great that this is kind of our coming out show. Is we're a two-piece right now, and it'll be our debut in downtown Pontiac.
Yeah, especially like we're pretty much where you began, where it all began, really. And
Yeah,
so, how do you prepare for a live show?
practice.
Oh yeah, a lot of it's running through the set, with usually with a recording or a live stream going, just that you get the feeling of playing everything, straight through, not taking any time for breaks or whatever. But it has been on my mind a little bit of like, the moral ambiguity of, all right, should we cram this many people into a room, because they're gonna be rocking, it's gonna be, pretty high and all that stuff. But I suppose preparing the music is the easiest part, I should say. Yeah. That's what we love doing is, practice, practice, practice.
It's really weird because a lot of the times the practice is like, playing the songs is the fun part. But you come to realize when you're okay, we've got the live stream going. This is like a test run of the live set, and you say, okay, the in between the songs, having the smooth transitions because he uses baritone guitars and which is and regular guitars, so there's a bit of switching and smoothing out those transitions, figuring out things like, okay, where are we talking in between the songs, little things like that. They're the kind of things a lot of times you don't even think about until you're on stage, and so it's, I guess that's the stuff that we're working on right now. So it's coming together. We're excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, bunch of great bands gonna be at the Crow's Foot on Devil's Night, and it's. I mean, I think you guys are really excited. Unfortunately, I'm a little far away for that to be there, but definitely, if I could be there, I would definitely be there. So I was doing my notes. I was, looking up you guys, low key stalking you guys to make my notes, and I kept seeing this term used, like in your, when you're in the about section of you guys, of Alterna-Prog, and that's like the first time I've really heard a band described as that. So like, what's your classification of that?
Well, there is progressive rock, which our favorite comes from the 70s, King Crimson, Yes, Rush. And there is the alternative music of the 90s and the 2000s and such and such. We like to think that we occupy a boundary between the two genres, hence the hyphened name, Alterna-Prog.
It's a really weird thing because it's like, like you said, we love a lot of those grandiose type progressive rock bands, but then we're really into like Tool and Soundgarden and Queens of the Stone Age, and even Radiohead and stuff like that. And these are bands that hate the term progressive rock. They probably hate the progressive rock music, and we sympathize a little. A lot of progressive rock gets a little pretentious. It gets a little too much. And so we try to we have elements of that, but we're not a full-on progressive rock band by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of people, so you guys are just a rock band, and it's like, well, we do have, our new album's closing track is over 10 minutes long, and, so we have at moments we kind of veer into that territory, but we're rock-based, it's pretty rocky, and so.
Yeah, listening to you guys are a trip to listen to. Like, there's, you got like all the different elements, of, what you guys just described coming together to form a different and fresh blend of music.
Well, thank you. Well, thanks so much.
And I know you mentioned this earlier. You guys released a new album earlier in April. how was it writing and recording it?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
He was already prepared for this.
This was a bit of a process. I occupied most. I'll just be real. I occupied all the recording, and a lot of the writing ideas. It was, it started off with just one of us or both of us, but we did all these songs on the album, 12 songs. We did each one a month. And, the first half of the year was pretty easy because we already had half of them written. So it was like, just pick them out of the vault, polish them up and send them out. Real simple, learn some recording and all that as we go, one song a month. Nice, easy deadline. But then once we had to start writing the songs as well as, I wasn't really on my A game before. Now it's time to kick it into high gear. So it got a little bit, heavy, a little stressful, but kick it through at the end, saying, we did it, and that is what it is. All the songs are on an album, and they're done, and I'm as proud as I'm going to be. That was probably, just the biggest takeaway from all that.
It was cool that, so on the third album, Zach was 12, and he decided he wanted to be a musician, and I said, you know what, the album's almost done, but you can play bass on it, and so he played all the bass, but he didn't write any of it. So when it came time to do the next album, there was a little lag there where his musicianship just went, I mean, it was insane how much he improved. And so he was like, I want to write, with this. So I said, yeah, I mean, like the dream come true for a dad, right? And,
Exactly.
And so he and I in December started writing songs. And by the time the next December came around, you can hear through some of the songs like this progression of there's more basic songs, and then there's kind of gets more as he went along. So this was his first writing, and he wanted to record the whole thing too. So he really bit off a lot, and by the end of it, he was like, I don't ever want to do that song a month thing again. I don't want to hear this album for a while. It was a lot for an adult, to be honest, not to sound condescending or whatever, but it was a lot for any musician to take on, and he just was thrown trial by fire, and so now we've kind of said, we'll release music as it's truly coming, and without the pressure of, we gotta put out a song a month. A lot of people are doing that now, or putting out a song every month for like the Spotify age and all that. But we still like albums, but we're gonna just release music as it's feasible at this point.
Yeah, that's a very ambitious project of doing, one entire song a month, like, 30 days to write and record a song. It's very ambitious. I mean, I'm glad you guys got it done, but I mean, music overall should not be very stressful.
Right. That's it. It should be like you can't stop it from coming type experience rather than forcing it, you know. He nailed it. He was like, I don't mind putting out an album in a year, just not that way. Maybe you're working on a collection of songs and you can pick away at this one. Oh, I feel like working on this one today. It's kind of push yourself a little bit, but a lot of it's how you feel, how your passion drives you to work on things.
Yeah, you need that creative energy. Maybe you're not feeling one song, but you can put that energy towards another song on the album.
Yeah. Having that option, it means so much.
And, Widetrack, you guys are an independent band, meaning not signed with a record label. What's kind of like some of the advantages and challenges of being an independent band, especially right now?
Oh, man. I mean, obviously the internet, there's access to now. Back in the day, when I was starting out being a musician, it was about getting signed and, getting through to the gatekeepers, the people that, if you don't get this distribution deal or this management deal or this record deal, you just didn't have access to people. Or it was just really hard. You had to collect mailing list names, snail mail names by hand at gigs and things like that. But now it's wide open, and there's a lot of bands that have been wanting out of their record contracts. They know that they can, basically you just buy Facebook ads and you can have Instagram ads. You can have access to a very specific niche audience, and that is like that's the coolest thing in the world. I think, it's like I want to pick up, fans of King Crimson and Black Sabbath, and and they'll show you those people, and it just cuts through so much haphazard stuff.
And I feel like that is the thing, is that a lot of people, they see a record label as something more organic. It's been around for a lot longer, and they think like, oh, well, I don't want to market my stuff. I feel like that just takes away from the music. But I mean, I don't know. If I'm being truthfully honest, all anti-establishment sympathies aside, I really don't mind being advertised bands that I'm gonna be into. It's like, it's perfectly fair game if it's like based off the stuff you listen to. Check this out or whatever. What better way to have? What else would you rather have marketed to you? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, there's a point that comes to mind. Is it's funny how the idol maker philosophy still endures after all these years. Like, bands think some record company or just the right person is going to see them and going to sweep them off their feet and take care of all their stuff. It's just a myth. It's a myth that won't die, and it's like the best, in our opinion, way for bands to like take advantage of the fact that you can do this stuff by yourself. It's so rare anymore that somebody will be like a star maker and come and take your band. And, if we just get in front of the right person, then the future's made. It's like, even then you won't have control over your own career. You won't have, a lot of times you won't even have creative control. So we love the fact that, this is there's all these tools to draw from, and we can just be, that's probably in a nutshell. The more you are, the better off you are in this age. Where you can just be like, wow, I can only get that by going to that band. That's where the magic is. That's a creative person's dream, right?
Exactly. You guys brought up a lot of good points. Especially like every band, I think you got to sound unique, you got to sound different, and you got to be yourself. Because I think there's a lot of bands out there, a lot of more mainstream stuff that just, it all sounds the same. Doesn't really matter what genre it is, like pop, rock, metal. A lot of that stuff just all sounds the same. It sounds boring.
And it really, it's like, wow, man, you don't have to do that. You can
exactly.
do yourself, and you'll be rewarded for it. And why wouldn't you choose that? But who knows? Everybody's got their own thing. But that's what we like about it.
Yeah.
So.
And actually, a couple big bands I know, like Adelita's Way, they are now an independent band. Like, they left their record label to become an independent band, and they're very happy about it. So, yeah, what you said about you don't necessarily need a record label, especially nowadays. You have the internet. As long as you want to put the work in and marketing yourself and advertising yourself, then you can definitely make your own following and get your own fans.
Well, yeah, I think, it's a really weird thing, because artists, bands, they don't like looking at what they're doing as a business. And fair enough, man. It is a labor of love. But if you look at it from the perspective of, like, we just want more people with access to our music, then you're going to be able to, all the tools are there to do that. And why wouldn't you just, take responsibility for your own career? And like I said, a lot of these bands that are artists that are huge, they want out of their record deal because they know that's exactly what they can do. And any business that you would start, you need money. You're going to have starting capital. You're going to need to invest in, equipment and ads. For every dollar that you spend in production, you should spend in promotion. And I get it. It's difficult to come up with that money, and a lot of times you'll have to go the free route. But if you are starting a business for all intents and purposes, then that's, you couldn't open up a karate teaching place without having, some front capital or whatever. And so in that regard, maybe there are people, when we think about the whole star maker thing, maybe it does make sense to have somebody invest in your band with clear guidelines and expectations of what you're going to be doing with that money and having a plan. And but it's just nice to know that those tools exist and you don't have to go through this A&R guy or whatever in order to make it happen.
Hey, again, a lot of great points. Especially like, I mean, you can have an investor that doesn't necessarily need me in a record label. You know, it could just be an outside person as well.
Could be a family member, somebody that believes in you. That's the most ideal thing. Somebody that has your best interest at heart and says, man, I want to help you because I believe in you. And, you know, that's definitely the ideal thing. So far, that's just us.
Well, you got to start believing in yourself first, then others can believe in you.
I've got your best interests in mind.
Oh, making moments here on Super Cool Radio. So I always ask my guests this question. I'm always curious. What music are you guys listening to this week?
All right. Well, so there's a lot of cool stuff in the New York jazz scene. You know, there's a lot of popular YouTubers. You know, you look at Adam Neely, Ben Levin, yada yada yada. Lots of great, you know, musicians that kind of have a dual personality. But through the rabbit hole, I discovered this album from Sam Gandel, DRM, released not too long ago. I think maybe this month or month before. But it's this really just kind of spacey, texture-filled, sort of synthy, just roller coaster of chill. I don't know, but it's just a nice change of pace from the usual, you know, rock and metal that I surround myself with. So I appreciate a nice solid work.
It's great
from a different field.
You know what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
So he wanted to go see this band called Polyphia.
I'm representing out here.
Yeah, at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit last December. And so I took him and his friend, and I'm the oldest guy there. I'm just kind of off in the corner. And one of the bands that opened up, they're called Sleep Token. And they have become like my favorite band. They're just incredible. They were the freshest, coolest thing I've heard come out in ages. You know, they were going to be doing the Slipknot cruise ship, you know, cruise liner thing. They had the opening slot on that, and then the pandemic hit. And I was like, oh man, that would have been a good break for them. But they're doing festivals in Europe in 2021, you know, COVID providing and all that. But I think they're just they're destined. I hope they hit it big, man. You know, it's music is so subjective. You know, you can be so excited about something, you play it for somebody, and you're just like, oh my God, how could you not see how exquisitely great this is? And
hope you're not talking about me, because I dig that stuff too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
No idea.
Yep, he does. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm listening to right now. But he plays me stuff all the time and then I'm like, keep that coming. I like that stuff, and we both like listening to jazz and you know, some of the R&B stuff that neo soul and stuff like that. Getting outside our own heads. You know?
Oh yeah, it's like all our favorite rock artists. You know, King Crimson, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. I mean, it's like, what did they listen to? Not solely rock, you know.
Yeah,
they got a lot of rock, but they listen to jazz, you know, soul, bluegrass, whatever the heck else out there, man.
Having different influences is just so vital for a fresh perspective, and you know, to kind of imagine what's possible. You know, I grew up on like AC/DC and stuff like that, and it was just a real basic kind of perspective on music. And then I learned about Rush, and then all of a sudden, all that was just blown wide open. I'm like, oh my God. And then that led to other progressive rock, and I started, and then of course, as you get older, you get more of a historical context, and you're like, okay, you're going back and hearing like, now he'll play me some Bach or some Beethoven, and it's like, oh wow, this is really where it all started, you know, and you kind of hear where the real influence came from. And it's just funny, every new generation thinks like that there's that treasure chest of all this great music, and they just scoop out what's on top, you know. But if you dig deep in there, that's where the real riches are, you know. All due respect to the newer bands. I mean, I love, like I said, some of my favorite stuff is brand new, but there is so much to be seen. I mean, it's just, there's so much. You can never, we always say we're so glad we don't have to choose.
Yep.
You can just have it all, and it's a wonderful thing. So
Yeah, I've been practicing listening to 2 songs at once, one in each ear, just to cover more ground, you know.
Yes.
Get everything done a lot quicker.
Yeah.
This week I've been listening to, it's been a trip. I listened to Black Sabbath, Ginger, and Sonny Rollins.
Oh, nice, Sonny Rollins. Wow.
Yeah, I just got like listening and like starting like last week. So
What's your favorite Black Sabbath album?
it's either the first one or Paranoid. Those are my first two. I'm really more into the Ozzy era than more the Dio era.
Oh yeah, oh, yeah. Those first 5 Sabbath albums
Yep.
they're flawless. I mean, I almost picked that for like, and I'm like, well, they got a lot more than 5 albums, and all I need is those 5 albums. But I mean, that's some of the best stuff that's ever been created in this history of things being created.
Oh yeah, and they've influenced so many different bands just by like all the unique stuff they did. Like the whole Black Sabbath album's like a whole trip in and of itself. They got all the, I don't know, like all the spooky, like I guess spooky stuff. I don't really know how to describe it, but like, you know, you got Black Sabbath is like there's a bunch of weird stuff going on in that song. Then you got the Wizard. Like, I mean, it's just phenomenal.
It's funny, man. Like everybody says, well, they created heavy metal, but they also created stoner rock.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, and when you talk, like I read an interview with Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath, and he said Black Sabbath wouldn't even exist without jazz. Like jazz and blues was their initial and it's really wild. You hear like Fairies Wear Boots or something, and you can hear
Yes.
that jazziness. And Bill Ward was such a swinging drummer, you know. And it's something that, you know, I mean, all the older generation says, well, there's something missing from the new stuff. I actually think like they've expanded on it, but there is a tendency for the metal bands to not be quite acknowledging jazz so much. And Sabbath certainly did. They swung like you said, Wizard, man, that swings like crazy, man.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Yeah, that's wicked. But yeah, it's great. I'm Black Sabbath. What can you say?
We'll go on the rest of the night if we're not stopped.
Hey, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Very fun chatting music with you guys, not only Widetrack, but all the great history of music and Black Sabbath and everything. But I got one more thing before we go. I know 2020 has been a really interesting and different year, to say the least. But what can we expect from Widetrack for the rest of this year and into 2021?
Pure rock lava.
I like that.
We got a couple things coming out, you know, little shows here and there, but for the most part, playing it cool, you know, just putting the rock in there, you know, getting it out where we can, you know, jamming, hanging out, listening to music, promoting the music, keeping it all about the music.
I like it.
Yeah, we're just trying to stay inspired, you know, and that's it. You know, the highest aspiration of the band is to be inspired and to inspire, and that's our hope. You know, we're not, obviously a lot of bands will tell you we're not doing this for money. I mean, we would love to make money. Everybody loves to make money. You shouldn't be ashamed of making money. But that's not the motivator for this. The motivator is when I hear music that I love, it's just irresistible, you know. And
I wouldn't want the world without it.
Exactly.
It inspires you, and that's what we just hope that if there's nothing else that we can accomplish as a band, that we inspire some people, and to do their own thing, you know, to forge your own path, to not to break free of the idea that you have to follow a template, you know, to feel alive in this lifetime. This life goes by so fast. So like, feel alive and be alive and create and build things that come from your soul. And that's what we're about, I guess, is what we do. So.
Yeah, and you gotta have fun doing it. Like, I mean, this is obviously your guys' passion. You love doing it, and you have a lot of fun doing it as well.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I couldn't be happier. It's great.
Thank you guys so much for being on there. I encourage everyone to check out Widetrack. It is a trip to listen to. And thank you so much for Ron and Zach for hanging out with me tonight. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it, brother.
And as always, keep on
rocking, man.
That's right. And I'm Matthew Thomas from Super Cool Radio, and thank you for watching.